Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most easy growing winter flowering plant called Nasturtium. Among all the winter flowering plant, Nasturtium is very easy to care and is a low maintenance flowering plant. Friends, today I am going to talk about the grow and care of this beautiful flowering plant Nasturtium. So let's start. Sunlight requirement. This plant likes to be in sunlight, so place this plant where it gets 4 to 5 hours of sunlight so that you get heavy blooming in this plant. Friends, not only the flower but its leaves also looks very beautiful. When flowers are not there, leaves gives a beautiful look to this plant. Propagation, you can propagate this plant from cutting as I am doing today, or you can also propagate from the seeds. To propagate, you can take 3 to 5 inches of cutting and remove the lower leaves as I am showing you in this video. Here I have taken 3 cuttings. Now I am going to remove all the lower leaves and make sure that at least one node is inside the soil. Always take young and the healthy stems for propagating by the cutting. To grow this cutting, I am using 5-inch of pot. Since there was no hole, I had made draining hole at the bottom as well as at the side so that the potting mixer does not stay wet and this pot does not hold the water. Take the size of pot according to the number of cuttings. More the number of cuttings, you can take more bigger pot. You can also grow the cuttings in a poly bag, and you can also grow this cutting at the side of any bigger plant or in a garden. For growing this cutting, I am using 50% of sand, 40% of garden soil and 10% of compost. This cutting can be easily grown in 100% garden soil also. Now I have filled the pot, keeping 2 inches gap at the top of the pot as you can see out here. Now I am going to place this cutting inside this soil in such a way that at least one node is inside the soil. Now this cutting looks to be too long, so I am going to cut this cutting in 2 parts so that I will get one more cutting out here, and I am cutting in such a way that both the cuttings, one node will be inside the soil. I'll also remove the older leaves and place this slowly inside the soil as you can see out here. So whenever you are growing any plant from the cutting, make sure at least one node remain inside the soil so that it can produce a root from that node. Now as you can see out here, I have placed all the cutting. Once this cutting started producing the roots and they are well developed, I am going to transplant them separately in a new pot and a new potting mixer. Soil, Nasturtium is not so choosy, so it can be grown in any type of soil. I will take 1 part of sand, 1 part of garden soil and 1 part of compost, mix them properly and going to transplant this plant. As I am growing this plant in a pot, so it is always better to have little bit of compost in it to get a good flowering. Do not use the potting soil which contain maximum compost, as in that kind of potting mixture nasturtium plants will produce lots of leaves and you will see less flowers. Now I am going to water this cutting slowly and gently so that this cutting does not get displaced. Talking about the water requirement of nasturtium plant, water the nasturtium plant whenever you see top few inches are dry. Always keep the nasturtium plant on the drier side. If you keep the plant on the drier side, it is going to produce more flowers and you will see heavy blooming in your plant. So friends, I have finished growing this cutting and I have watered them. Now you can see out here, and at the same time I am giving you the care tips also. Now talking about fertilizer, do not fertilize nasturtium frequently. Now if you fertilize this plant again and again, this plant will look very healthy and again it will produce lots of leaves only and there will be very less flower. You can fertilize once in a month with a handful of compost or a compost tea, whichever is available. To get heavy blooming in a nasturtium flower, time to time you need to remove the spent flower. Once it start producing the seeds, it's not going to flower because it will spend all the energy in producing the seeds. And whenever you see the plants full of leaves, remove the leaves also time to time so that you get good blooming at the end. Now after the blooms are over and the flowering time of the nasturtium plant is over, you can collect the seeds. You will find the lots of seeds on the pot, so you can collect from the top of the pot also. Nasturtium plant is so easy to grow that wherever you have grown the nasturtium plant this year, next year from the same place you will see lots of nasturtium plants coming out. So friends, if you don't have nasturtium plant in your winter garden, get it today itself. Friends, hope this video was interesting and informative. If you like my video, please subscribe my channel for this kind of video. Keep watching HR Garden. Take care of yourself. Keep gardening. Thank you for watching HR Garden.